Good morning. I am Professor Sarjugi Yadav, Department of Education in Social Science and Humanities at RIE-Ajmer. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our two distinguished guests here to this studio. It's a matter of great delight for us that we have with us Professor Sandhya Rani Sahu. She has a vast experience of working in English language teaching, and she has contributed in the development of NCERT textbooks and other materials. She has also undertaken so many important research about ELT. Professor Sandhya Rani Sahu, as all of us are aware, that NCERT has developed recently a very important document, Learning Outcomes at Elementary Stage, at the behest of MHRD, Government of India. Can you please throw some light at the genesis of this document?
Actually, the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2009 emphasizes that all children in the age group of 6 to 14 should have they have the right to quality education.
Right.
So, the quality is underlined in the preparation of this document, learning outcome document. And in this RTI Act 2009, it has also been said that like learning outcome has been referred to, and it has been given a due place in the act, but it was not, the learning outcomes were not defined. So, in there was a necessity that a document should be prepared where these learning outcomes would be defined. So, at the behest, lightly you have said that at the behest of MHRD, NCERT undertook this exercise of preparing or developing learning outcomes from classes 1 to 8. So, that at the end of every class, what is expected of a child of class 1, what are the things the child should learn, and after the end of class 1 is documented. So, at the instance of MHRD, NCERT developed this learning outcome book, this is a document, and in this learning outcome document you will find three things. One is that curricular expectations are given stage wise, and then the pedagogical processes are given, and also the learning outcome. Pedagogical processes are given in one column and the learning outcomes are given in another column. And here before this document came into the light, before that many things happened. So, there was a year long discussion amongst the experts in the NCERT. We brought NGOs also, they also contributed, and then it was given in the public domain. So, we got also the views and the ideas from different stakeholders, even from the parents, from the teachers, and then all these things we looked at the feasibility, and we looked at the authenticity, we looked at the applicability part also, and then we looked at all these things together and then put it in the document. So, it is almost like it is a document which is now a legal document. It has been attached to the RTI 2009. So, since it is a legal document, it has to be implemented in spirit and all the parts of India, in all states. So, it is, we cannot say no, we cannot go, we will not implement it, but yes, there is some, there is some leverages are given to the states, that it is not the learning outcome that are given, they are not prescriptive. They can change the learning outcomes depending, or the pedagogical processes for that matter. They can change this, they can add to it, and according to the needs and according to the requirement of the class or of the particular state.
Yes, Professor Sandhya Rani Sahu, you actually beautifully narrated that how this document came into existence, and it was very democratic process, as you told that the opinions of the states and different organizations have been incorporated, and it took about 1 year. So, this is now a legal document, and there is also flexibility that these are tentative pedagogical processes and outcomes, and states are free to modify them according to their necessities. Next thing that I am interested to know about this document, as you also pointed out that in order to bring quality education, how you visualize that this document will help to bring quality education, particularly at primary and upper primary level.
Stage. So, actually if you look at the documents and if you look at the preamble and whatever it is given in the foreword also, it is very clearly written that this document it will help in enhancing the classroom teaching, because here in this document we are talking about competency development.
Right.
So, this document, when I said that this document is now a legal document, I wanted to say is that this document, the competencies that are documented in the document, they are to be followed in letter and spirit, because this document has got three parts now. Like this is the larger document, and one document we have prepared, like a very short document also we have prepared. We have also prepared pamphlets, and these pamphlets will be there, will be distributed, and the posters will be pasted on the walls of the schools, so that the parents will also know that the end of class 1 or 2 or 3 my child is going to learn all these things. If they found that the children have not learned the words or they have not learned all this, then they can make the teacher accountable for it. So, now the responsibility is fixed.
So, you mean to say that all teachers, students, parents
and community,
they are all the stakeholders of this document.
Okay, so, now if we come together and work for this cause, then obviously some change will come. And this change we visualize as a positive change. So, now suppose the pedagogical processes that are given in the document, I told you they are not prescriptive, and these are only some of the clues given to them. Right. For example, in class 6 it is written that the learners, they participate in activities in English like role play, group discussion, debate, etc. And this is actually the learning outcome. But to achieve this learning outcome, what will be the pedagogy? What will be the pedagogical processes? The processes are given that learners may be provided opportunities in pairs and groups individually and encouraged to become familiar with songs, poems, prose in English through input-rich environment, interaction, classroom activities, discussion, etc. Okay. So, these classroom processes, when we talk about here, the onus, the responsibility of the teacher is that they have to design activities in such a way that children participate. Right. And the children participate in groups and in pairs, in groups and in pairs. So, suppose there is a role play. So, children will participate in the role play. So, in the process the children interact with each other. And then here also in this document we talked about collaborative learning, we talked about cooperative learning. So, when the teacher he is dividing the class into different groups, it should be a heterogeneous group, because in the class some children are good in spoken English, they speak well, some children write well, some children are good in gathering information, some children are good in processing the information. So, some children good artists also. Right. So, the children will be chosen by the teacher in such a way that they form a group, form a heterogeneous group, they work together and then they work in a team, and in a class looking at the peer also you learn. So, the peer learning is also happening, and simultaneously children, they are free, because with among themselves they can interact,
they feel more comfortable, there is a scope for each and every student to participate and involve.
Exactly. So, this is quality education. Right. Is not for one children, all children should learn. Right. And every child should get this quality
Professor Sahu, earlier, because there was one document long back, it may be 1992 or so, minimum level of learning.
Yes.
How this document is different from that minimum level of learning?
This minimum levels of learning, it came in towards 1992, as you have said. So, there the competencies were also given, but it was product oriented approach was given. It was mostly product oriented. Product oriented, and the assessment was like assessment of learning. It was assessment of learning, but there is a departure now. The shift is towards process approach learning. It is a learning is a process, learning is a continuum, and in the process, in this continuum, you can also see the progress of the child. So here we have asked the teachers to to put the to be a facilitator. When the children are working in groups, they can make round, they can look at the children who are who are really participating, where is the lacuna, who needs a kind of help. So they will write in a diary, they will put it in the diary entry. They can also have the portfolio also. In the process, they know which child needs what, and then accordingly they will also provide interventions, and like appropriate interventions in appropriate time. Because here the teacher is a facilitator, is looking at everybody, all the children, and making a round. So this is in the process. When when it is a classroom is going, the transactions are going on, instructions are going on, during that time, like in the process itself, you know which child needs what. This is a kind of assessment, we call it, this is actually we call continuous assessment, CCE, continuous comprehensive assessment. And they will find the gap, and they will find the interventions. If the interventions are provided, maybe the children will be able to learn better. So this is the process approach is given here. There it was product, here it is there it was assessment of learning. Now we are promoting assessment as learning.
Very interesting actually. So there is a great departure from minimum level of learning to learning outcomes, and you have very beautifully pointed out, highlighted that there it was assessment of learning, but here in this document it is assessment as learning. So there is a great difference, that in this way we can ensure the quality of education. Ma'am, another issue which I wanted to know, that people say that it is somehow related to National Achievement Survey. Earlier also a National Achievement Survey was made. So how this document is correlated or connected with National Achievement Survey?
This document, I have already told you that this document talks about the competency. So here it is the text, it is beyond, the textbook is not relevant here, rather the competencies are relevant. So in different states there are different variety of textbooks they are using, multiple textbooks are also there, but for example in language teaching, we are assessing listening, speaking, reading and writing, we are assessing critical thinking, we are also assessing the affective domain, like value added questions also we are giving. So to know whether how far the children are being able to judge a particular character or particular situation and react to it. So now, so far as language teaching is concerned, these skills are uniform for every book. Every child has to have this language competency. So now instead of asking questions from the text, I can use any text to test the reading skill of the children. I can ask them to write any paragraph for development of writing skills. I can use any recitation or any story for development of for assessing the listening and speaking skill of the children. So now it is not textbook based, it is competency based. Since it is competency based, so in the country, everywhere the children are being able to answer a particular question. For example, I developed the question for class 9 and 10 assessment, or class 1 to 5, 1 to 8. The questions that we have asked in the in the National Achievement Survey, these questions are again based on all the learning outcomes. For example, spoken ability. So in classes 1 and 2, we have designed the questions in such a way that teacher will ask, all the questions are orally asked. and children will also answer orally, because class 1 to
Right.
children will not be able
They
to
need
write
not
anything.
to learn
And in
writing.
class 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we have asked them, like we have given a paragraph, and then this is only assessment of writing and reading, reading skills. So what are the like vocabulary and the phrases, and then comprehension, these things are assessed, because whatever we want to assess so far as the reading skills are concerned, it is given in the document.
Right.
So based on that the questions are there. So now it is to bring a kind of uniformity, that yes, at the end of class 8 these children will be able to do all these things.
Professor Sandhya Rani Sahu, I am very happy that you have touched upon all the important components of this important document. Now, at last, I would like to just listen from you that about this document, you tell a few words which can be a message for the audience. Just tell in brief the gist of this document, which can be catchy, and also it should have some message for the audience.
Before that, I would like to add one more point so far as the NAS is concerned. So as you have said that this survey, after this National Achievement Survey, we will be able to know what are the gaps.
Okay.
So like you look at the performance of the students, and we find out what are the gaps, and then in consultation with SCRT and all the stakeholders, like the education department of different states, we would like to prepare the intervention also. We will prepare some material, so that will be given to the students, will be distributed to the schools, and then like
that gap can be
that
bridged
gap
up.
can be bridged. That is actually one another point that I wanted to make so far as NAS is concerned.
So, Professor Sahu, you have beautifully articulated the message of this learning documents, and you have rightly said that we all have to work together, all the stakeholders, community, parents, students, teachers, they need to work together, because all these components are very important to bring the quality of school education. So we are hopeful that this document will bring a change, and this will turn into reality with the cooperation of each and every stakeholder. So thank you very much for your very inspiring and thought-provoking ideas about this document. So once again, I am very thankful for you that you could spare your valuable time and you came over here, and you shared your very valuable ideas about this document.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Now, although you have touched upon all the different components of language teaching, including ELT, different approaches and methods. So, Professor Paliwal, now I would like to listen from you one final statement about language, which can be relevant for our audience, for our students.
We have a target, we have a goal, the goal of language teaching, and especially English language teaching. We teach students in such a way that they can understand the spoken English. We teach in such a way that they understand the printed English, and we also want them to speak so that others may understand, and we would also like them to write and communicate something, so that the target is, the goal is set, the aim is set, the object is set. In order to achieve the goal, we have certain teaching learning situations and all that, and then we would like to test whether they have been able to learn of the language in a given prescribed form. This is what we call an achievement test, and how much of the given course do they know, how much of the given language do they know, that is a proficiency test, and how much of the given course have they not been able to learn, that is what we know as diagnostic test, and how much of the language do they require to learn in future, and would they be able to learn that or not, is what we call a prognostic test. I think what Professor Sahu has argued for some time here is the fact that learners need to be tested on the scale of competencies, and And competencies in a way are something which help us to give an idea about whether the learners have been able to learn the language or not, whether they are able to use the language or not. Ultimately, all these outcomes help the teacher as assessors, as tester, as evaluators in rethinking about the set goals in the teaching learning processes. So, she is absolutely right in saying that this is a document containing rich ideas, vital ideas about how to make teaching learning process more meaningful, more contextual and more fruitful. I think this is the message that we should give to the teachers who are going to be the trainers as well as the users of the language with the learners. And if we have the clarity about the objectives, about the teaching learning processes, and of course about the assessment devices to be used, we would be in a way able to achieve the goal for that. And this is the real thing we should be concerned about.
Wonderful, Professor Paliwal, you have really just gave us some very panoramic view about that how language is important, how it can be learned, how teaching learning materials are important. So, everything whatever you told, it is very illuminating for our students, for our teachers.
Thank you.
And if those components which have been actually stated by both of you are wonderful, they will be very wonderful ideas, and if they adopt in their practical life in teaching learning process, I believe that it will help them to go a long way, and it will serve our purpose of quality education, about which both of you emphasized that unless and until students learn, our teaching is of no use.
Yeah.
So, I am really very thankful that both of you came over here and you have spared your valuable time, and you did a wonderful job. So, once again Regional Institute of Education is grateful to both of you for this wonderful contribution.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.